everybody, happy Thursday. Now today's question is all about how to ask for help without feeling needy. But are you new to my channel? Welcome! I put out videos on Mondays and on Thursdays, so make sure you're subscribed and have those notifications turned on so that you don't miss out. But today's specific question is, hey Katie, how does somebody ask for help without being or feeling needy? Now I get questions like this all the time, and I think it's because when we finally feel like we need help, and we need to reach out for someone like a professional or a friend or a group or whatever, our brain automatically starts judging us, and we worry that people are going to think we're really weak, or that we're being too needy, or that, we're going to be such a burden on those around us. But trust me, there are things that we can do to kind of get us out of that faulty thinking, because trust me also, it's faulty, not true. Reaching out for help actually shows you're really, really strong. So let's get into those 5 tips. And the first one is to know what you actually need help with. That doesn't mean you have to know how to fix it. But when we're finally reaching out, it's important that we know what it is we're unhappy about. If we don't really know what it is that we want to change, or what it is that's upsetting us, how can someone in our life, or a professional for that matter, know how to help us? If we start rambling to someone and saying, I don't know, it started like 5 years ago and I've just been so overwhelmed and I'm crying and I don't know and I just can't go to school and I feel overwhelmed and then I was at work and blah, blah, and we just start rambling about all the issues that have happened over the years that we may have been struggling, it can be really hard for them to realize what it is that's going on. And if it's a parent or a loved one, like trying to figure out what help we need, it might be hard for them to even recognize what that might look like. And 2, even if it's a professional, they might be like, okay, well, what are your symptoms now? And like, what's the issue that we really need to work on now? Because anybody who's going to offer any support needs to know what it is we want to change and what are the symptoms that are bothering us. So try to stay focused on those things. And it might take you some time to just realize what those are. So maybe sit down and journal what symptoms you're having now, or what it is that's bothering you that makes you believe you need help and is the reason that you're reaching out. That will really, really cut down on potential interactions with people where we ask for help and they don't understand and then we don't get the help we need. This will ensure that they know what we need and they can help guide us in the direction to get that help. And my second tip is to keep it clear, short, and to the point. And that means that when we're asking for help, right, first we have to know what it is and what the symptoms are, but then keep your ask really simple so that we're heard completely. And the people that we're reaching out to don't get caught up in all the things that are going on, and maybe our ask is too convoluted and they're not really sure if we're asking to see a therapist. Like if we're talking to a parent, maybe asking them to take us to a therapist and pay for us to see a therapist. If we're an adult, we might be reaching out to a therapist and we're going to need to tell them what it is we want and what we're asking for. And so all of that's really important. And I find, regardless of whether it's a professional or a friend or a loved one, whomever, if we keep it concise and to the point, it's best. And I always talk about this on my channel, but it's really important that if we have a tough time keeping things clear and concise, which I personally do, I am like a verbal diarrhea person where I'll just tell you everything and start rambling, and then, I don't know, then I start crying and then I'm overwhelmed, and trust me, I totally get it. But if we take some time and we slow it down and we journal about it, it really helps me make bullet points and then read through the bullet points and see hey, is that one repetitive of this one, or could I merge those two and make it shorter and more simple? Going through all of that to kind of recognize what it is that you're needing, making it as clear and concise as possible, I promise will really help you. So writing it out, maybe even practicing saying it out loud so that you get comfortable with the verbiage so it keeps you on track and on point, can really help ensure that when we reach out for help, we get that help. And my third tip is actually try to get better. And I know that can go without saying and it can kind of feel icky, and I don't mean it that way. I just mean that if we're finally taking the step to reach out and speak up, if we don't put in the actual effort it takes to make positive change in our lives, that can really burn out our friends and family. And if it's a professional, I can speak personally that if I have a patient who has been coming to me for 6 months or so, and they just aren't doing any of the homework, maybe they're canceling sessions last minute, they're just not putting in any effort, I might tell them, hey, let's just take a break. And when you're actually ready to participate in therapy, I'm here. Give me a call. Because we can't help you if you don't put in the effort. Yes, even as a therapist, I have tools and techniques to offer you and to teach you, and I'm working with you. But if you're not working with me, it can't just be one-sided. I can't force you to do the work. You're only with me an hour or two a week. In those other hours, I'm going to need you to do that hard work because it's actually your life that you're going to try to change. And I want to make sure you are putting in the effort so that we're working together. We're both putting in effort. Does that make sense? And so I know that this third thing, trying to get better, kind of goes without saying, but I think it's important that we actually talk about it because many people reach out for help and then feel really exhausted by the thought of it and just can't even participate. And we have to make sure that when we do reach out for help, we're ready to put in all the effort it's going to take to get better. So just think about it. And I know it's hard work and we'll all plateau in therapy and in our process. I'm not saying that that's what this is. Just know that we have to continue to try. And some days we're not going to have the energy, but we still have to get up and try again. And that's all I'm really saying. Oh, and as a side note, I've had many of my patients, this has really helped them. I've had them share their goal with a friend or a loved one so that they know about it and they can keep checking in and keep them motivated. So if you really struggle to keep going, it might help that you share your goals from therapy with another person in your life so that they can check in with you on the regular basis versus just your therapy appointment that maybe happens once or twice a week. It gives you a little more contact and a little more accountability to keep you going. And my fourth tip is just to remember that we all need help from time to time. Reaching out for help doesn't make us weak. It doesn't make you needy. It doesn't mean that you're broken. It means that you're actually strong and you're really courageous. And even just consider for a moment other people in your lives that have maybe gotten help or reached out to you for support. Think about it. There's probably a lot of people. And if you can't think of people personally in your life, think about celebrities, other YouTubers. Think about people who have talked about getting help and have talked about their struggles. Sometimes it's really important that we remember we're not alone and we're reminded that it doesn't make us weak because when we look at other people's stories, we're often not as judgmental as we are to ourselves. So just take a minute, consider it, because I think it's really powerful and it's really important that we recognize just how strong and brave we are. And also, you knew this was coming. Talk nicely to yourself about all the effort you're putting in. We can be so nasty in our own heads. Nobody knows how shitty we are to ourselves, but trust me, I know how it gets. And I want you to make sure that you're reminding yourself about how brave you're being, how strong you are, and how hard and how much just courage in general it takes to speak up and reach out. Just remind yourself. And then work to change that nasty negative thought process into a positive one. Because if all the tips I'm offering, you're still on the other side of the screen saying, Katie, that's not helpful. I still feel really needy. And I feel, like I'm just being such a bad friend if I ask for help. If you find yourself like arguing back and your brain is like, this is all garbage and this isn't helpful at all. That means that this tip is the most important tip for you. I need you to just talk more nicely to yourself. I need you to just slow down. I need you to recognize what you're saying. Because it's really that nasty voice that usually tells us we're needy or being needy or just, or a horrible person or broken or all those things come from that voice. So notice what you're saying to yourself. And instead of focusing on the other tips I've offered, maybe in the morning and at night, we come up with 3 to 5 things that we like about ourselves, that we're proud of, things that show how strong and courageous we are. We're going to have to focus on that first before we can do the other things because it's all about that conversation, right? It can honestly change our lives. So let's make it a positive conversation and change it for the better. And my 5th and final tip is to make time for their issues too. If this reaching out and speaking up isn't involving a professional, if it's involving a friend or another loved one, make sure we're still checking in with them, asking them how their day was or how that vacation went or how their therapy is going or their own process. Like, make sure we're still asking them and checking in with them because if it's all about us, our relationships will become one-sided and they can actually become kind of toxic that way. And so I just encourage you to make sure that when you're talking to them, it's not all about you and what's going on with you. There's time in every relationship for both things. And I don't mean you should be keeping track of running a clock and how long have we been talking about this? Oh, it's been 5 minutes. Okay, I need to spend 5 minutes about her. That's not what I mean. I just mean that yes, you can be in crisis. You can reach out to a friend and that conversation can be all about you and your crisis. But the next time you call, I want you to ask them about how they're doing, how their life is, how work or school is going for them or that relationship. Just make sure that you make time for other people's issues too. And I promise that will alleviate any of the maybe neediness you're feeling or any of the response you might be getting from friends or loved ones because we all have stuff going on and it's important that we listen as much as we speak. This video has been brought to you by the Kenyans on Patreon. If you would like to support the creation of these mental health videos, click the link in the description and check it out. I hope those 5 tips were helpful, but as always, do you have other things you want to add? Add down in the comments other tips and things that have helped you recognize that you're not being needy and instead you're being really courageous and strong. Let us know in those comments down below, and I will see you next time. Bye. It can be hard for people to, my nose is itchy, sorry. Start over. Keep to, blah, blah, blah. What is it? No.